Hi, I'm Brant at Crocker Farm, and I want to talk about a potter who is one of the more important ones in the Mid-Atlantic area. Some of the ones that most people know, even people who only have a cursory knowledge of American stoneware, are people like the Remy family in Philadelphia, some of the Baltimore potters. Malden Perrine's one of those. Peter Herman is kind of the only one that marked his wear late in the century, so people know him very well, even though there are other sort of more prominent potters working at that time period. But one that was the chief competitor of those guys was a potter named Ralph J. GRIER. And Ralph J. GRIER was born in 1833 in Harford County, Maryland. In around 1860, he moved up to East Nottingham, Pennsylvania, which is a little area in Chester County, about 3 miles south of Oxford, Pennsylvania, about 2 miles north of the Maryland line. So he wasn't traveling very far to get up there. And when he went up there, he was going there to work at his family's pottery. His uncle, James GRIER, had founded the pottery sometime probably in the 1820s. He definitely had it there by 1828. And by 1835, he had sold the pottery to his son. And his son's name was John GRIER. John GRIER's cousin Ralph, as I already mentioned, went there in 1860 and started potting. By 1868, John had died, and in 1870, Ralph had fully assumed free and clear the ownership of the pottery. And it's his work that we know the best. It's very well documented in a book by Arthur E. James that if you don't have and you're interested in southeastern Pennsylvania stoneware or anything like that, you ought to get a copy of it. I believe it was published in 1978. And another good book you might want to check out is a recent book on Cecil County stoneware by a guy named Jim Katursky. But yeah, those two books are good books on that area, stoneware, but the James book is the original kind of definitive book on Chester County stoneware, and it's very well researched, and there's a lot of GRIER stoneware pictured in that book. So pretty early on, I mean, comparatively early on, people who started getting interested in this sort of thing in the late 70s and 80s were able to attribute things to GRIER. But almost none of his work is signed. And in that book, actually, they have a picture of the maker's mark, which is pretty cool. It's just a wooden, stamp with metal type, R.J. GRIER. And people who are interested in this kind of stoneware, I would say, could probably go their whole collecting lives and never actually see this mark in person. But we have an example here that is stamped with that mark. And as you can see, if you're familiar with GRIER stoneware at all, this is about as typical as it gets for him. It's a straight-sided jar with lug handles, and it has these two floral designs on the front. And it's got it blue at the handle terminals and some slashes here. But right here it says R.J. GRIER. I've only ever seen one other of these. I know there's a few in existence. But it's even in James's book, when he shows a picture of the maker's mark, he explains what a rare mark this is. So it's just kind of neat to actually see. You see these pieces all over the place. If you, I would say that his wheelhouse was that whole area of like Lancaster County down through the eastern shore of Maryland over to Delaware. He was selling all kinds of stoneware through that area, and you see a lot of it down there, you see a lot of it in the area. But as I said, his mark is very rare. I wanted to read real quick an ad that he posted in a local paper in 1868 that I thought was pretty interesting in light of the fact that we have one of his pieces sitting right here. I'll just read it. Mount Jordan Pottery, East Nottingham. R.J. GRIER, manufacturer of all kinds of stoneware vessels from 10 gallons down to a pint. Now this is a 3-gallon crock. Also earthenware of all kinds, of the very best quality. No poor ware cracked up, that's in quotes, no poor ware cracked up and foisted upon the public, but the best stone and earthenware which everybody wants. Everybody is 2 words. Orders of all sizes promptly filled. R.J. GRIER, Oxford, P.O., Chester County. I thought that statement is one of the best that I've read in a stoneware ad. No poor ware cracked up and foisted upon the public, but the best stone and earthenware which everybody wants. I think everybody kind of did want it because you see so much of it out there. I wouldn't say that this is the best stoneware I've ever seen, but it is not bad. It is, for Mid-Atlantic stoneware, it's very prized by collectors, particularly the better pieces, and GRIER continued to get the patronage of people in that area for many decades. He was in business from about 1870 until 1902 when he died. And his son took the pottery over and it closed in 1910. But this is one of the rarer specimens from that pottery you will ever see. And we'll be selling it on July 21st, 2012 in our summer 2012 Stoneware and Rareware auction.